Talking about humanity is one of my favorite topics, especially when doing so drives me towards considering humanism inherently within the topics. I can almost sense the classic philosophers looking up from their places of slumber and taking an interest. Human beings, not human doings. What I find particularly beguiling is the absolute simplicity of the concept. At differing times, simplicity and complexity rage for primacy, and yet the answers are always to be found in the simple mechanisms. We just need to view the mechanisms in their entirety. We can start by shaking off the shackles, stepping up onto the dance floor, feeling the vibrations of the beat permeate our bodies, see the others about us swarm with smiles on their faces, and allow the mood to take us. Losing our inhibitions, fears of shame and looking the fool, and embrace our part role as one of a crowd of dancers. Telling ourselves the right things is also such an important developmental process. I am my own biggest critic. I have heard this statement almost as often as I have exclaimed it myself, and yet why should I always criticize myself? Do I not know that I have tried my best? Were the mitigating circumstances completely unbeknownst to me? How about simply accepting that actually it was pretty good? Talking with Tanja today brings out all of these thoughts and more, and it's a real pleasure to have the chance to hear her thoughts. Grazie mille, Tanja. Tanja, it's great to have you back. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Hi, Zach. Hi, everyone. Nice to be back again. Like literally back. I'm home this time. We are not sitting together in front of your mic, but nevertheless, beautiful to be back.
Yeah, it always feels like it's been a long time. But on the other hand, it's also good to have this sort of window of opportunity to build up new thoughts and new experiences and so on. And you haven't failed in that again, because you've inspired so many notes that we've taken down for today. But before we get to the material, as it were, have you not had sensual talk since we last had a chat?
Yes, indeed, I had.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Yes,
And
in January. It was beautiful. It was really nice. This time I did an ladies' afternoon tea, which actually started at 4 p.m. and then the afternoon tea ended around about 10 p.m. And the
oh wow,
last one left at midnight. So you can see, which is beautiful. There are topics to talk to, and it's nice that the ladies feel comfortable and at home and laid back, and because it's like time flies. And at a certain point, we were like, oh no, it's like 8:30 already. Maybe we should like prepare something savory to nibble because all the cake and stuff is like time is past, you know. No, it was beautiful. We had again amazing and very interesting and very personal topics. Was yeah, I enjoyed it very much, and the feedback I got was also very, very nice and positive. Yeah, it was beautiful.
And is it because I always kind of think about these situations that it's a bit like when there's a professor lecturing, and then after the lecture there are people sort of queuing up to speak to the professor. So in this case, obviously, I mean, I don't know if you would consider yourself sort of professorial, but were there people like hanging around afterwards because they wanted a one-to-one chat with you?
Yes, exactly. So I don't consider myself professorial at all in this setting, let's say. But not but. Yes, you're right. There was one lady, and this happens regularly, that then at the end, when most of them are leaving, that one is staying behind and like, let's sit for another half an hour. And then they talk about, or we talk about similar topics. You could have talked also during the Sensual Talk, but it's rather, as you said, a one-to-one. I call them sensual privates. That's what I actually did also during the lockdown in 2021, the winter 2021. So only a one-to-one. And so sometimes it happens that after the sensual talk, the sensual private is like, if you want to put a header above it, like, yeah. And then we were like, yeah, let's sit for half an hour, and then bam, it was 2 hours. and after that many hours, like nearly 8 hours of talking and thinking and exchanging thoughts and energy and everything, I feel it. Like I just fall into bed. I'm like happy with a big smile, but I'm like, okay, no, I can sleep and digest what we talked about, what I heard, what I was able to share, what others were able to share, and yeah, it's nice.
I mean, it strikes me as you say, it's a very intimate setting, and people really come together, feel comfortable. There's a certain natural element to it. But I imagine that people are thereafter inspired and they want to talk more, and that's why they seek these sort of more personalized, intimate moments, as you say, the sensual private. So it's great if you could. I know the private element doesn't really allow you to record it and have a sort of open show of it. But it would be great to just have to be a fly on the wall on some occasions. And do you know what I mean?
Sure. Sure. To see what's about, or what is what are the topics, what are the reactions? I mean, there are, for example, two things I really like to observe. Things that now slowly develop is like when the ladies are here, and that it happened before, it happened also in the January Sensual Talk, that they start exchanging numbers. Like like we are talking, and then like and then I don't know, one lady and another lady, they find out that they have a common interest, hobby or whatever, and then like, yeah, let's change numbers and let's get together. And after the last Sensual Talk, two of the ladies who never met before, they met, they had a coffee drink, I don't know, together. And I love this, and it's not the first time that this happens, and this is such a beautiful add-on for me, that to connect, that they are connecting, that people are connecting, that the ladies are connecting amongst each others. And this is, for me, this is beautiful, and like a extra plus. And the other thing is that those ones who come, like last time, for example, there was one lady, she had like really, she was like, okay, I have two specific questions I would really love to address and to hear your opinions. And I mean, this is beautiful. Like, I mean, imagine you have questions about like this very sensitive and very intimate, private topics like femininity, sensuality, sexuality. You are coming to a place where you don't know most of the others, but still you have this, I'd like to ask, I'd like to share. And this for me is like an honor, like yeah, it's beautiful.
It's like a gift,
it's like it's a gift, and it's a how you say, a Bestätigung?
A confirmation.
Yes, thank you. It's a confirmation for what I'm doing. And yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
It's also funny for me in a certain sense to realize that you and I individually are quite similar in this way, because and obviously you talk about far more sensual topics by design. But whenever I'm in one of my sort of group English sessions within a company, because I also get people to communicate and talk and open up a little bit. There are colleagues who have worked together for 10 or 15 years that never had a clue about the other's interests or hobbies or personal life or any of these details. And it only comes out in these English group lessons that we do. And then, oh, wow, I like that too. Oh, cool. And then they start talking about these common interests that they have. And it always amazes me. Now, with you, it's far a greater achievement, because these are people who have never met. So there is no possibility of having established these relations before. But when you have colleagues who also haven't even thought to open up with one another about these interests, I always find that fascinating as well.
Yeah, I can feel that. It's amazing, or it's really an add-on. It's a extra gift, extra blessing on what we are doing.
Yeah, and like you, I love it when I find out that people that I work with meet outside just to talk about these things. That is great. It's it makes you feel as though you've done something extra beyond what you intended to do.
Yeah.
And that is very reassuring.
Yeah. And what I found actually very, I don't know if I don't guess that's the case in your environment, but for the Sensual Talks, it happened also in the past that then the ladies were like, "Oh, Tanja, is it okay if we exchange numbers?" Just I was like, "Yeah, sure. Yes, damn, do this, please. Get together, a part of the Sensual Talks. That is why I'm doing this is one of the reasons I'm doing this, and I'm more than happy to see that new friendships are developing, or new corporations, or new whatsoever. This is amazing. It's nice. It's nice that they, I don't know, ask or whatever, but not ask, but or inform. But I was like, no, I couldn't be farther of being offended or whatever. Yes, please, go for it.
I always find that is because people either feel a certain element of possessiveness towards their friends, or they believe others to be possessive, and so therefore they find it uncomfortable if the person who introduced them doesn't give them explicit permission for them to also pursue a friendship beyond their friendship with you or with me. And I find that a really strange way of seeing things. As in friendship, possession or own. I never own anybody I'm a friend with. I don't own anybody at all. And so therefore, if people want to expand out and generate friendships and relationships, I think that's great. If I have somehow participated in the process, but thereafter I don't own that. That's all. That's up to them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you're offering a basket, of certain things in it, and everyone grabs whatever he or she is fond of, And no, I like that, and this is actually something I always liked. I to bring people together. Even in my younger years, I used to organize get-togethers or parties with other friends together. And what I really liked about this is to bring people together from different backgrounds, or people I know from different occasions. When I used to live in Frankfurt, I did huge spaghettatas on a regular base for those, but with really 50, 60, 70 people, and I'm not kidding. And a spaghettata, for those ones who don't know what this is, it's a very informal let's say dinner where you throw kilos of pasta in a pot, and I prepared a lot of sauce, pasta sauce, and then people are coming, and I invited people I know from my hometown, from school, from university, from work, from I don't know, sports, from wherever, and then later also from dancing, and they come together, and it's so nice. You put a bit of red wine on the table, and then obviously I don't have 50, 60 plates at home, and then we've been continuously eating. So I started at 8 to throw pasta in the pot, and I stopped like midnight because people were eating one after the other. So when one load of pasta was ready, I was like, okay, pasta's ready, and then they came with the plates, and when one was ready, then he or she washed it, and then it gave it to somebody else, so people. This was also a possibility of people getting together. It was not a spaghettata, everyone sitting at the table, like in a restaurant. It is I like to do things in a very participatory manner, and also the sensual talks are like that. So that when we sit there, I was like, okay, if you miss something, if you want more bubbles in your glass, if you want water, please feel free. You know where the kitchen is, you know where the fridge is. If you don't find something, or if you want a coffee or something which needs to be prepared, then tell me. But for the rest, please feel free, like mikasa sukasa. So to give it a more like a relaxed, please don't ask for permission or sit there being thirsty and not daring to say something, because I don't know, I'm talking or I'm not available in a certain minute. So that's what I like.
No. I mean, Barilla has apparently gone through a recent repackaging process, and they've turned from their familiar blue to deep red. But if your spaghettatas continue, they should make one especially with your face on it, I think, because the amount of pasta that you purchase for these evenings. I mean, I don't know if you use Barilla necessarily, but that's a lot of spaghetti.
Yeah, that's a lot of spaghetti. That's true. And then when the sugo, the sauce is done, then I have extra reserve of pesto, so nobody goes home hungry.
I can imagine.
It's beautiful. Like when I'm now talking about, I mean, the last time I did this was before COVID, and it's before Corona, and I really need to do this, I guess. Since I moved nearly 2 years ago, I didn't do it, actually.
Well,
I miss it.
Well, I mean, having people share from a single pot of spaghetti, I think at the moment is probably not the best thing to encourage. But I could imagine you're looking forward to it. Hopefully this summer. I mean,
that's a nice idea. Yeah, let's see about that.
But I was also going to ask whether or not you had thought about doing like one or two maybe sensual talks a year where there's just one part is sort of public, which you could record, just one little section, because then maybe other people can get an idea of the kind of atmosphere and the kind of topics you talk about. I mean, would that be something that you might consider doing?
Could be like, or at least what I could do is the next sensual talk, for example, to then ask the ladies if there are things I could share in the podcast, also to give an insight. I mean, when it comes to topics, I can always like very, very broadly share the topics we were talking about in general during the last nearly 2.5 years during the sensual talks. And when I write the invitation or the newsletter, then sometimes I also do, specifically when I have a few more people coming into joining the newsletter, just to sum it up and to give an insight or a small intro, like, okay, that is what the sensual talk is about, or we've been sharing about in the past. Just to give an idea, as you said, because that it gives more more flesh to the meat, More flesh to the bone. I had 2 cappuccini this morning. Maybe one would have been enough. More meat to the bone. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's quite a bit of meat on the bone with regards to Sensual Talk. It'll be fascinating, I think, for a lot of people who probably can't attend because maybe they live so far away, just to savor a little bit of the atmosphere that you talk about in such colorful terms. But yeah, of course, always the more information that you can communicate with me is always welcome. So, yeah. Cool. Okay. It's amazing that we've been talking for so long and we haven't actually touched on any of the topics we decided that we would talk about today. So, but that's just typical
I
for us.
wanted to say that's how it goes.
Yeah. But you had this. Okay, you've always got these fascinating thoughts of the day that you share. Not all of them are necessarily suggestions. Sometimes they're reminders. Sometimes they are philosophical tidbits. But there was one. Well, there's a few that this week we're going to talk about today. But there was one in particular that set this off as the kind of main topic, which I found to be profoundly meaningful. But at the same time, full of sense, but also practical simplicity is the way that I kind of refer to it in my notes here. Do you want to read it out in full? Do you have it with you?
Yeah, but you have to tell me which one you are referring to.
Yeah, about the human beings.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have that here. You want me to read it out?
Yes,
And
please.
maybe just for the audience that you are referring to the WhatsApp status I'm posting every now and then. And I posted this week at the beginning of this week a saying which is the following: we have a tendency to think in terms of doing and not in terms of being. We think that when we are not doing anything, we are wasting our time. But that is not true. Our time is first of all for us to be. To be what? To be alive, to be peaceful, to be joyful, to be loving. And that is what the world needs most. And that is the saying. And the phrase I put underneath was, at the end of the day, we are all human beings, not human doings, aren't we? I wish you a lovely week.
Wonderful. Yeah. I mean, and I think that you, in itself, the quotation or proverb
Yes.
is great. But I love the way that you capped it off as a sort of gentle reminder also that, human beings, not human doings. And that was a very nice little touch. Yeah. I mean, what inspired you really to put that? Was there anything in particular, or is this obviously it's just a great thing, to follow, or a great thought to have? But was there anything in particular that you wanted to say with that?
I think I felt drawn towards this saying because it's a topic I am not struggling, but I resonate very strongly with it, and I actually really very much like this word game in English. Like a human being in German would be a Mensch. So you don't have that. But in English, you have this human being. And then a few years ago, I read this human being versus human doing. And this is something which, as I said before, I resonate very much with because I'm a very active person. And what happens to me a lot is that I think I'm doing very little, like that I'm not very busy. And then when I share this thought or when I talk to close friends of mine, the feedback I get is the opposite. Like, Tanja, you're doing this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And then when I listen to others telling me what I'm doing in a certain situation of my life, I'm like, yeah, if I listen to her or to him, I would agree that I'm a very active person. And the thing is, it's not of being active or non-active, but the thing is when I come from a positive side here. So I think I am relaxing. Let's put it this way. I think I'm relaxing. I'm boiling things down. I'm like taking a slow pace. And then what the feedback I get is it's not the case, which makes me reflect, okay, I could even be more calmer. And that's at the end, it is like that. So sometimes I get lost in doing, and forget about being. And that was like 10 years ago, quite a huge thing, because there is this, Hamsterrad, this picture of the, how you call it,
The
hamster in
hamster
English?
wheel.
The hamster wheel, yes. So, and I think it's far, like if you want to be in a hamster wheel, you go for it. But I think what is problematic or very challenging, at least, is if you're in a hamster wheel and you are not aware of it. And for me, this all proverb comes with awareness. Being is for me, there's also awareness in it, which doesn't mean that when you are doing things, you are not aware, But so what I was able to learn during the last years is really to step back, like to calm down, to step back. My most favorite word since a couple of years is me time. Like I take me time, I do things for myself. And also the meaning of the word recreation. Yeah, like I don't know. And then for everyone, it's different. For me, it's sleeping, meditating, massages, in winter sauna, in summer being in the like feeling the sun. But sometimes this being and relaxing and recreation is also a very active thing, like dancing, motorcycling, traveling, doing a SensualTalk, doing a podcast with you, So it depends. And the thing I wanted to stress, or I wanted to remind myself at the beginning of this week, is just we are all allowed to taking it slow, and sometimes let's even reflect upon that. When we think we are taking it slow, are we really taking it slow, or could we even take it a bit slower?
Yeah. I mean, so many questions there. It was interesting also when you said the German Mensch for human being, but if I'm not mistaken, in Italian it's also human being, essere umano, isn't it? So it's like
Yes.
essere, so to be again.
Yes.
And maybe that's where the English in itself comes from. And Italians are also known within their culture for appreciating the quality, the me time, taking things a bit more easily. I mean, and this always comes back to some of the initial post-war imagery that you'd get of Napoli back in the 50s. This very sort of chilled out lifestyle. Oh, it's beautiful. Just enjoy life. La vita è bella, that kind of thing. Not necessarily
La dolce vita.
Benign's. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All of these things are very reminiscent of exactly the kind of thing that you say. But unfortunately, I feel as though modern society, perhaps because of our increased sort of technology our dependence on communication being almost, instantaneous, we are speeding up
Yep.
rather than slowing down. We are no longer making the tools work for us. We are becoming the slaves of our tools. If you remember in the old days, when you sent a letter to somebody, it will take about 3 days before you got a response. I mean, nowadays, I'm not saying that people should send an email and then go home for 3 days, but I mean, that would be nice. But to not then worry if the response doesn't come until the next day, or to not chase after so many things. It will come, and we should always remember that technology facilitates work, but it doesn't save our time. That's up to us, whether or not we want to use time for purely work purposes, or indeed, as you say, appreciate the quality that time can give us.
Mm. Mm. I actually very much like that you brought up this the word of like pulling.
Mm.
And what comes into my mind is yes, things do not necessarily evolve and develop faster or better if we pull on them, like so what I like very much instead, and the pulling is like a very active thing, but it has a totally different energy, a much more exhaustive energy than, for example, to invite things. Like to invite a process to take place, to like that's also active, but it's milder. And yeah, that's the thought which came just into my mind. And the other thing you said was like becoming slaves of our own tools. I think this is also a reason why it's even more important to have times where we don't do anything, where we are not productive at all, and where we are not distracted by the outside. And I mean, sitting on your bed, on your couch, and going through, I don't know, Instagram or whatever, is you are doing something as well. I mean, you are not with yourself. You are like very much in the outside, which is totally okay if you are aware of what you are doing there. But yeah, I think the reminder I wanted to give out also to myself is like unplug from everything, not only from your mobile phone and internet or social media. Unplug from time to time from things to do. When did you feel, for me, a very nice indicator is, when did I feel the last time bored? I very much like the concept of constructive boredom. You need to feel bored to be creative, because when you are bored, you are you create space for something. You get me?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
No,
yeah,
I'm thinking about
okay,
the various
yeah. No, it's okay. I'm just
manifestations of that thought. Yeah.
so like it's good to be lazy from time to time. It is good to be bored from time to time. And in our society, laziness has a huge stigma, and boredom is something I have the feeling we are always trying to avoid. And during the last years, I really discovered this. I get mad when I feel bored. I'm like this. Okay, I have to do something. I mean, it's not all easy peasy here. When I say like get bored, it doesn't mean that we are all zen and but it's a challenge. But when I really try and don't make and I'm not doing any, I don't have any appointments, I don't have anything to do, just sitting there and daydreaming. Oh, I love daydreaming, but in order to daydream, you have to have the space, you have to have the time. And the thing is, it is my my duty to organize this space, to keep slots in my, I don't know, weekly agenda for me time and boredom and daydreaming and, I don't know, just staring at the wall. And what happens a lot to me then is that I have a thought is coming up, which literally makes me jump up and put a note down somewhere, because I know it will go away. Otherwise, I will forget about it for a couple of months, and then it will hit me again, hopefully. So, and this are very fruitful moments, and I very much like them. And so this is why I am a huge fan of this concept of constructive boredom, and to try to be. And being is for every one of us very different. Ask 10 people and you get 10 different answers, and that's fine, and that's beautiful. But we also need to give us the chance to find out what is your way of, when do you get bored, And I don't mean bored in company with others, not of having meeting friends and then get bored over the discussion. That is not constructive boredom.
No.
For me.
No, not at all. As in, constructive boredom is something that leads towards a sort of jump in creativity.
Yeah.
But it has to come from a kind of a calm pool of water, as it were, without any ripples. Yeah, there's so much in there. And this is also why the proverb and also the sentence that you added at the end really resonated with me. It's also interesting, as you were speaking, I just got an alert saying that Mount Etna has erupted in spectacular style, apparently, in Sicily. I don't know if you know anybody who lives in the vicinity. But as almost like an interesting reminder of the power of nature, and that, in fact, if we don't in some way rekindle our relationship with nature, it will find a way to us, and sometimes with extremely powerful outbursts. And that's what I find. A lot of what we talk about, there's so much, the underlying point or theme is nature, and being natural, and rejoining in some ways our connections to nature. And I find it's always brilliant, the way that there is this theme that underpins so much of what we talk about.
Yeah, and I mean, there is also this word of human nature in English, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is another thing that we can probably remind ourselves of more often.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it has might go a bit in a different direction, but I mean, being aware of your own being is also a throwback to your own nature. Like, what is my nature? Like, who is Tanja? Like, a part of all the conditionalization and stuff, and I will not find out who I am deep within, and why I'm doing things, and why my belief system or self-beliefs are as they are when I do not stop at a certain point to take time, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, also this essence of identifying who we are and being true to human nature. We tend to go through life and we feel as though we're chasing after our identities. We want to find out who we are. And sometimes it's true to say that certain experiences open our eyes to thoughts and feelings that we had never experienced before. But generally speaking, who we are is always within us from the beginning. It's just a question of trying to inspire it as much as possible, because we tend to be told what we
Yeah,
want. We're
yeah,
told from a young age at school, you want to be a successful business person, you want to be a millionaire, you want to be famous. And to be honest, in many cases, actually, no, I don't. I don't
yeah,
want to be a millionaire. I don't want to be famous.
yeah.
I want to lie on a beach with a cold beer and just smile.
Yes.
Sometimes, yeah.
And then the things are, it's outside. I don't know if that's outside attributions.
Mm,
You're like, okay, I am a woman. Like it's you like which gender, which nationality,
mm,
which age, which whatsoever. It's also it's and then you bring this together, and then there is a societal idea, or there are societal ideas. Okay, so as you are as you are a combination of this, and this factors, you need to want, you have to want this and this. You are male, a certain age, with this background, so of course you want to, I don't know, have this career, go in this direction. You know what I mean?
absolutely,
and
yeah.
and and um and then we start and we grow up listening to this in a non-reflective way, and at a certain point, and I agree 100% with what you say, like it's all there, but it's like covered with like layers and tons of um I don't know, mud, earth, leaves you, and we have to shovel it a bit away to go to the core,
Mm,
to see the core again. And that's for me, it's so it's such a crazy thing that everything is like, I know, like it's everything in me, but still I sometimes feel I don't have an access, or it takes such a long time to generate the access
mm,
because nobody showed me how to.
yeah. And what's also interesting, and I'm going to very cunningly tie this to the second status
Hmm.
update that we're going to talk about. Yeah. Sometimes we don't feel comfortable with who we are because we don't see it out in the world. But that doesn't mean to say it's not there. Um, and so, for example, you've got here, if you can dance and be free and not be embarrassed,
Yeah.
you can rule the world. So what I was essentially connecting it to that is, don't be embarrassed of who you are. Don't be embarrassed if you want to, I don't know, spend your life drawing yellow circles on pink backgrounds. Maybe there is a need for this somewhere. Maybe other people like it too, just to come up with something completely random. Because if I think of myself dancing, and I've said this to you so many times, it's not going to happen, because I don't feel comfortable doing it. I embarrass myself, I feel, when I dance. So it really resonated with me when you shared this. If you can dance and be free at the same time and not be embarrassed, then you can rule at least your own world. In this sense, is what I in sort of understood from the message.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, we should not underestimate the amazing power of shame,
Mm,
of feeling ashamed. And for me, this quote could also be, if you can dance and not feel embarrassed, then you are actually free.
Yeah.
And for me, this is a very personal thing. I love dancing and to dance, but I also have the struggle with sometimes it depends. Like it's a day to day how you feel, you know. Some days I really struggle of feeling ashamed or feeling embarrassed when I dance. Because for me, it's like, I think it's like every, I think people can resonate, like if you have something you really love to do. So if you know, it's, and you are showing yourself, you like, it's the feeling of getting stripped naked, you know. Um, it's like standing there with the arms wide open, you know. So I'm here, see me, and not nobody's coming to hug you, you know. So that's a bit difficult to explain for me at the moment. Mm. But yeah, this quote for me was, when I read it, I felt it because I know how this feels. I have days, and it's not only about the dance, but I go out and I'm like, I can do this. I'm okay, you know, like I'm great, whatever. And then there are other days it's like, oh my God, you're such a failure. Just simply back off. Don't go for a dance. Don't go for, I don't know what, you know, also work wise. I think everybody can resonate with that, you know, and yeah. So
I think
hmm?
I was just going to say, I think because you said earlier with regards to the similar issue you brought with, you know, being stripped naked and nobody comes to hug you. If I can expand upon that briefly, it would be that if I'm bearing my innermost, so when you dance, that's your passion, that's your internal fire that you are revealing to the world. And if you are embarrassed of that for any particular reason,
Mm,
this would be the similarity with being stripped naked. So the world can see
mm,
you, for, you know, everything is uncovered, and nobody comes to hug you. Then that's like a rejection of who you are and what your passions are.
mm.
I guess so. That may be a sort of similar interpretation of what you were trying to get to.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Which is why I don't dance and I don't stand around in public naked.
But that, you know, like for me it's the dance, but for others maybe singing, painting. I think it's
Mm.
specifically comes to creative processes,
Yeah.
because like if we talk about creativity, it is the most direct link to our inner self, because
Hmm.
I am the creator. You, like, if I paint a picture, I am the creator of this picture. If I am creating a song, performing a song, if I am dancing, if I'm giving a speech, if I'm cooking, if I am whatever, you know, um, um, constructing a car or motorcycle from the scratch, whatever we do, taking pictures like photography, it's like you are creating something and you are giving this out to the world, and you are showing with your creation a part of yourself, and that makes us vulnerable. And some days we or let me talk about myself, so it's not that abstract. And some days I feel like on the top of it, you know, and I'm proud and I'm happy and I'm not thinking at all, you know, in this rather negative terms. And then there are other days where it's like, oh my God, I should not do this. I cannot do this. I cannot share it. People would see it. But in this situation, I make myself dependent on the opinions of others, and it's so easy to say, yeah, just that's the bad outside world, and just concentrate on yourself. But I mean, at the end of the days, we are human beings, and we are social animals,
Mm-hmm.
and so for me, the not the struggle,
Challenge.
I would like to have it in a more positive, the thrill about it, or the gift about it, is to find an equilibrium and a balance between the two things, like to know my own worth, to see and be aware of the reaction around me, but not to, like, positive and negative, It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
help you either that if everybody is patting you back, like, oh man, this is an amazing podcast and this is an amazing book and it doesn't help you either to find really a good balance between outside feedback and reflection and your inside, your standing towards yourself or within yourself.
Yeah, it's again, it's interesting in the way that sort of maybe even subconsciously one thought leads into the other thought, because here you've also got the message of today, and that also was I found to be deeply meaningful. Do you want to read that to us as well from at this point?
Yeah, the saying I was posting today was, of all the people on the planet, you talk to yourself more than anyone. Make sure you are saying the right things. And that is the quote. And then I wrote, I added, let's take very good care of us. It's not always the easiest task to fulfill, but so incredibly important. Yeah. Because
Absolutely.
the person you are with 24/7 is you.
Yeah. If we're not comfortable with ourselves, then
Yes.
life becomes extremely challenging.
Yeah. Yes. And there's a thing, and for me this quote goes in the direction is, I once listened to Ayurvedic professor, and he stated in his speech, like, you have an arm, but you are not your arm, and you have a leg, but you are not your leg, and you have thoughts, but you are not your thoughts. And that one hit me also really deep a few years ago, because we identify with our thoughts. We think we are what we think. But that's not true, because the thoughts are what we are saying to us, and you could change it. And why am I saying I'm not my thoughts? No, because I can choose whatever I'm telling me, and I could tell me something positive, and I could tell me also, this is right. I can tell me, I could
Myself.
I could tell myself something positive. I can tell myself something negative. I choose. And it, of course you could say, like, well, they are both on the same level, right and wrong, but why should I choose negativity, like hurt myself? And this is what, like, be careful how you speak to yourself, because most of the time we would never talk to our beloved ones in the way we talk to ourselves. And our thoughts are the way we talk about to ourselves. Like, we are not sitting there and brubbling and to ourselves.
Some of us are, but okay.
Yeah, well, some, yeah, but you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like our
sure.
thoughts, our like we are like 24/7 on this radio stream.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating as well, the Ayurveda input that you have there, because we wanted to talk about this. And again, I forgot to add it into the notes. So I have to underline this because I really would like to go into it a bit more. This sort of learned spirituality that has developed over so many years is something that I simply am just far too ignorant of. And so therefore I would really like to hear more about it. And also, if we turned it into an official podcast topic, then I will have to read up on it a lot more as well. So that's definitely noted for one of our future podcasts. But yeah, I mean, everything you say there, I mean, this, it's, again, these are quite simple things, aren't they? As in,
Yeah.
nobody here is talking about some huge, mathematical equation that you need to solve every morning. This is simply, all of these topics. Human being, as in sometimes don't do, just be. Or don't be embarrassed, for example. Free. Allow yourself to enjoy the moment. Don't try to consider it from its most negative possible perspective. And then again, here, it's exactly the same thing. We do indeed talk to ourselves when we're sitting on the train, and we see some, crazy people dancing, and we think, so what a mad person. And yet probably really what we'd really like to do is get up and dance with them. I said, then do it, for example. Why not? So yeah, I definitely get you. I think this thought as well, whoever it was that came up with it, fantastic. Encourage ourselves. Try to promote ourselves to ourselves in many ways, because we really should become far more aware of what we can do, but also what we want to do. I know really well my limitations, and I always like to know more about my limitations. But that's fine, because knowing my limitations is a key also to understanding and appreciating the good things that I can do. So I shouldn't simply be restricted by my limitations. But as you say, we have to tell ourselves, you can do so much. Don't just bring up all of your fears and allow those fears to dictate how you are.
Yes, that's actually a nice closing remark, isn't it?
Are you throwing me out? I
No,
can't believe it.
I was just trying to be a very helpful guest here because I was watching
That's
to my
cool.
watch, and I was actually expecting you like very soon to say, "Okay, Tanya, let's wrap it up here." And
No, we've got
so
so
I
much
like,
more to talk
oh,
about.
yeah,
But
we could.
yeah, it's cool.
No, I really like what you said, and the one thing to know your limitation. What came directly into my mind is, but yes, know your limitation. No, yeah, know your limitations, but does this also limit your knowledge? Like, because you were saying so naturally, yeah, I know my limitations, and that's good. But sometimes like we are limiting also ourselves with the belief that this and this is a limitation or a shortcoming of mine, you know?
Yeah, I think I have. I try to always maintain an open-minded approach to things. So I'll give you an example. One of my limitations, which I'm very well aware of, is that I can't swim. Okay,
Okay.
that is to say, I can't swim and breathe at the same time.
Okay.
But I've tried to swim on 3 or 4 occasions. I can't do it. So nowadays, when I go to the beach, I just sit there with a book and a coffee, and I'm happy as Larry. And I see lots of other people splashing about, swimming and so on. And I love watching my kids swim to the other side of the bay, and they jump, off a big boulder and dive into the sea. I think, I wish I could enjoy it with you guys. I can't, but I appreciate that they can do it. And so it simply means for me, I don't have to waste time in the water. I can enjoy my time on the land. And that's it, basically.
Yeah, two thoughts on that. It's beautiful if you're happy with that, you know. But you could also learn how to swim.
Yeah, I tried that. I almost killed 2 people, including myself.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's
Okay,
terrible. Yeah.
like yeah. So yeah, I'm only advocating for a very for a reflective way of thinking about the own limitation. I mean, we all have limitations, but do we really have them, or do we did we make ourselves comfortable inside these limitations? You know?
No, it's a very good point. You're right. Yeah, I mean, there are things that I've never done, but I wouldn't put them down as limitations. I'd put that down to simply being either too much fear with regards to opening myself up to these possibilities, or maybe just not having had the opportunity. But they wouldn't be a limitation. They'd simply be a lack of experience, I'd say.
And that's so nice that you came up now with word fear, because what just came into my mind.
You've disappeared. Have you run to the other side of the room?
No, no. I was playing with the mic. Sorry. Sorry. Like, as you are not sitting next to me and I can't hit you while I'm talking, I'm playing around with things I can find here. So I was saying that I really love that you brought up fear, because there is another saying I very much love, and I can't quote it 100%, but I think I can
paraphrase.
Yeah, paraphrase is it there's I don't know, there's the story is there is a child at a swimming pool on the 3-meter tower, to jump into the this child wants to jump into the swimming pool, and standing up there, and the grandma is standing down beside the pool, and this kid is yelling yeah, but I'm scared, and then the grandma is saying, you are allowed to be scared. But it does mean that just because you are scared that you cannot do it. And this is something I also love very much, because the more common reflection on this is if you're scared, just don't do it. Yeah. Then come down, and you go from the 1-meter tower and jump into the water. And that's why I love this, because this is such a positive. I mean, it doesn't mean that you still have the chance, you still have the opportunity to turn around and don't do it, but just fear is an emotion, and it's not bad and not good. It is, like anger or sadness, also happiness. Those are emotions, and if we take the positive or negative connotation we are giving to them away, they are simple, they're like neutral. So we can listen to the fear. Yes, you can acknowledge, I have fear. I really am scared of jumping down here. But there is no automatism there. I have fear, so I should not do it, or I fear I can't do it. That you still have all the opportunities. Yes, I'm scared of doing this. But so what's next? So what is the next step? Is the next step I nevertheless do it, or no, I don't do it, or I don't do it now, or I try to change the circumstances? What do I need to feel maybe less fear, so I would go for it? Or maybe you just leave it. So I'm scared, I don't do it. Punto basta. So this is also,
Yeah, no, I completely take the point. I don't think fear is a rule. Fear is an indicator, and so sometimes it's good there as a warning for telling us to be aware of certain realities, but that doesn't mean we should absolutely avoid partaking in that particular activity. So I do definitely accept that point. Yeah. Um, and also, you raised another example was with a kid. And if you remember, before we started recording, I wanted to bring up this series of books that I'd read because um, the, the picture that accompanied today's status was of you speak to yourself the most, so make sure you say the right things. Was this kid, this child standing by the window in a thoughtful pose, and it reminded me of a series of books that I've read recently by an author called Santa Montefiore, and she talks about the Deverills of Ireland, also the Deverills in England, but the main sort of family is in Ireland. And there, the kids, especially the girls, as children, are able to see and communicate with spirits. And however, on some occasions, one or two of these girls are told by their parents, don't think those things. That's not true. And because they start to believe this, as they grow older, this ability is gone. Excuse me. So they can no longer communicate. They can no longer see the spirits that are standing there before them. And the spirits remain, but their ability of sight is gone. And your that saying that you had, with the kid, the communication within oneself, it often reminded me as well, because kids always say they have their own. It's my secret friend. It's my special friend. This is the person that I communicate with. And are we right as parents to take away that special friend? Maybe that internal communication is what children need to find themselves, and not always to be dictated to, as you said, by external influences.
For me, this would be something like your insight, your intuition, your gut feeling that goes into this direction. And that in our society, everything which has to do with the mind and the ratio is more valued or valued higher than the intuition and the gut feeling. That goes for me, it's not the same, but it goes in the same in the same direction, because your intuition is in yours, like, it's also like talking to yourself, and you and the thing, the things you can't explain it. Why do I have a certain sense of feeling in a certain situation? You can't explain it. You can't validate it with your thoughts. We had that in one of the podcasts as well, when I shared with you that in the past I always tried to validate through my brain, through my thoughts, my gut feeling, but the gut feeling and our intuition and the things we resonate with, they are on eye level with our ratio. They are not less, they don't have less value. And for me, the thing you were elaborating on about the book goes in the same direction. Doesn't matter if, like, the girls see something or have a connection to something. It is validated in a more negative, like less validated. If you say no, this is not, no, this is stupid, this is not non-existent, this is not, it's the same, like I don't know, maybe like with the moon, for example. You have you have people who say, like, I don't care if there's no moon, full moon, half moon, if I see the moon or not. And then there are others, they feel a strong connection to the moon and to the moon cycle.
Well, I think half the human race is at least influenced in some ways by the moon cycle, if I'm
Yeah,
not
not
mistaken.
only the human race, also like the like nature, the sea,
Sure.
the like ebb and flood. How was that in
Yeah.
English?
The
Tide.
ebb, the tides, yeah, but the ebb and
Yeah.
flow of the tides, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. So just thinking like the influence the moon has on that, and us thinking that it doesn't have any further influence
Mm.
on life here. So, but yeah, for one is like, yeah, that's crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's blah blah. And for others, it's a fact.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great example as well. I think. I mean, I don't know enough about the physics of it, but the moon has had a huge influence on the development of our planet, and also I think life on our planet. But yeah, I don't know enough on the topic to say more about it. But yeah, I mean, it's always great to have at some point during the day. I know, okay, maybe you don't do it every day, but most days, these messages that
Mm-hmm.
that appear, and it's great to see them. And I mean, you don't need me to say to them to you to please continue doing so, because you've been doing it for many years anyway. But it's great. I mean, I think I've asked you before. Do you also have other people who comment on some of them?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Okay.
I do. And also here's a very nice that I get like this week a very close friend of mine. She was like, "Can I quote you? Can I use your?" I was like, "Yes, it's sure, please." That's
Mm,
also this. It's an honor. It's like it's great if there's some inspiration for you in there. That's amazing. So yeah. I mean, I'm also quoting others.
mm.
That's I find this quotes, and then I connect to them, and then I like yeah, I like to I save them, and then
I've
I
lost you
said,
temporarily. I can't hear you.
you hear me now?
Yeah. Now is it you? Okay. Yeah. You were saying that you also find these quotes from from
Yeah, I mean,
others.
yes, from others, and then if I relate to them, then I share them. So it's nice if it continues, the inspiration. And also there was another message I got from someone, and she was like, "How the hell do you know that this is exactly what I feel today?" So it's such that, of course, I couldn't know, but it's you can read in this reading this line, you could see how the impact that the quote has on the person. And
Mm,
sometimes it helps us so much if we can verbalize things, like if a friend of ours is verbalizing something we can't verbalize, or if you read a quote where you think like, okay, that's it, that's exactly how I feel, and I wasn't able to bring it up in this way, and that's beautiful. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always great when something that you say or do um, has a benefit to someone.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, yeah. All right. Look, we've gone way past the hour mark, but there was one
Yes.
other topic which I very quickly wanted to bring up, because I don't know if we'll manage to do it in a future one. So yeah, on as I said to you, from Friday to Saturday, I slept for like 13 hours, which probably hasn't happened in about 20 years. And definitely not without some kind of external consumption, alcohol usually. And this was just, I felt absolutely zero, as in my batteries were running on red, and it was just a crazy feeling that I just have never had. Um, and Lennart told me about this Frühlingsmüdigkeit. Is that how you say it in
Yes,
German? Yeah.
Frühlingsmüdigkeit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which translates to springtime lethargy, which I had to look up, of course. And it's to do with the changing of the season, but also the fact that your bodies come out of a period where there's not much sun to have inspired the production of a certain kind of chemical. And then with the warming up, which is supposedly to energize, it's a means of expelling all of this sort of built up fatigue, sort of, apparently. I mean, I'm really paraphrasing and extremely badly because I don't want to go into all of the scientific elements of the potential causes, because there is no actual scientific confirmation as to this being the case and not being the case. But it's something that I was never really affected by. Do you have I mean, you seem to me to be far more in tune with nature. As in, have you felt this before?
Yeah, sure. I think I sincerely believe that we all feel it, and I also sincerely believe, if I may say so, that you had that also in the past, and I'm actually very happy that this year you like feel it consciously.
Wow, I had no
because
choice.
because yeah, it's like that is the way of your body to say, okay, you didn't get that, Zach, during the last year, so okay, now I make you lay down, like I make
Absolutely.
you need to sleep. And this is actually also a very nice thing where I can bring up a bit of Ayurvedic knowledge. I'm absolutely not a professional with, but in the Ayurveda you say that during winter time between mid-December, like deep winter between mid-December and mid-February, we are accumulating like our we are accumulating a lot of Schlacken. We are accumulating a lot of material within our body, which makes us, like mud, which makes us like gives this certain heaviness. And then when spring is knocking on the door, there is a change, not only outside the change we see in nature, like we were talking earlier. You have the blue sky today, not only here near Frankfurt, also in Berlin, and the sun is coming out, and you can see nature is already starting to wake up. And I mean, the same thing is within our bodies, and in order to let's say digest this and get ready, you need energy for your body, and that like your body needs energy and consumes energy, and so that makes you feel this lethargy, like feeling you down. In German it's also antriebslos, without any drive. And also a lack of sun. This is why specifically in this period very many people are recommending to use to take vitamin D, like extra vitamin D, for example, to support your body with that. Or why we all feel like, oh my God, I have to bring my face out in the sun, and you have this feeling of like absorbing every ray of light, specifically in February. That's happening to me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly reading the causes, essentially from Wikipedia, absolutely confirm everything that you've just said. That the body's reserves of the happiness hormone serotonin, whose production depends on daylight, become exhausted over the winter, making it especially easy for the sleep hormone melatonin to have its effect. And then therefore it also says that people can feel dizziness, irritability, headaches, aching joints, and also a lack of drive are very common. So that basically just confirms everything that you just said there as well. So if people who are listening have also felt a certain element of fatigue, it's not necessarily that you've got corona,
No.
but it can also be something more natural.
And there are many things each of us has to find out what helps. Like there are people who like to do long walks in the fresh air. Others have an average 2 hours more sleep per night. I do also sleep more in wintertime than in summertime. Others again, like they do sports, Others like are bathing in chocolate. Like everybody has
Okay.
this coping strategy or coping mechanism for that. Others like triple their caffeine, their coffee consume. I think each one of us has to find a healthy, supportive way of how to handle that. Others they go to the solarium, like
Yes,
to the
solarium.
solarium. Whatever helps.
Well, if in Frankfurt you start to hear news stories about the dwindling of Berlin's chocolate supply, then you know what's happened here.
Okay.
Yeah, but that does sound like a particularly interesting solution. Yeah, I think I'll probably start with a bit of exercise, but I'll keep that one in mind. I have to say.
A second option, plan
Yeah,
B.
absolutely. Yeah, I know a lot of people who are not going to be happy with me for having stolen their chocolate, but what can we do? Yeah, Tanja, we've talked about so many things today, and they all come back again to very similar undercurrents, which is this again, as I said before, the sense of nature. But also there is, I think, a certain degree of sensuality in being aware of oneself and aware of what we need, both physically and spiritually. I think that through our continued conversations, I also become more and more aware of some of these elements too. So I can only thank you for the positive influence that you've had on my thoughts.
You're very welcome. That's kind. That's very more than kind to say. That's nice.
It's true too. So
vice versa.
it's very kind.
I consider our talks very inspirational. That's very nice. That's why I like them.
Good. And hopefully you'll be inspired enough to come back again.
Yes.
For our next session.
Yes,
Yeah.
I definitely
and
will.
Ayurveda, we have to go more into Ayurveda, so we'll do this.
I love to.
Yeah, good. Okay. Hopefully then next time when we do so, you can, you'll be here. Not because I like you beating me or anything, but it's good to have you in the room.
It would be nice to sit together again.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So thank you very much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this wonderfully sunny Sunday too.
I definitely will, you bet. Take very good care, everyone. Bye, Zach.
Two. And mic.